Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We begin with mystic song by Sri Swami Lalitananda, played and sung by Sri Swami Umananda and Rajneesh.
Our song tonight is called The Spirit of Love.
Must pass away, yet sweet like drifting snow over one and all. But the spirit of love lives on and on. The spirit of love is like the sun shining on all below. The spirit of love sleeps in every heart. The value of life lies in flowing with the song of humility. When feeling is pure and dullness is gone, you know and realize life cannot be without the spirit of love. The spirit of love is like the sun shining on all below. The spirit of love sleeps in every heart. Let the river flow to the sea and enter deep, deep within, feeling like a wave of the endless sea. The spirit of love is like the sun shining on all below. The spirit of love sleeps in every heart.
We are recording from the ashram of our revered Guru, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananji in Miami, Florida. Today is September the 14th, 2018, Friday evening, and tonight Swamiji will be lecturing on the Tulsi Ramayana. This is series 2016, class number 122. And now Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananji.
Om Nilambuja Shyamal Komalangam Sita Samaropita Vamabhagam Panau Maha Sayaka Charu Chapam Namami Ramam Raghuvanshanatham. Adorations to Lord Rama, whose complexion is like a blue lotus, very tender and delightful in appearance. Sita is seated on his left side. He's carrying a powerful bow and arrow in his hands. In Sri Ramcharitmanas, the Ramayana, Balkanda, and we are moving towards Doha number 309. Presently, the topic is Rama and Sita are going to be married. This is the big news in society, the biggest news. And just understand that subtle meaning behind here is to gain insight into soul being united with pure intellect. Until then, you have not experienced real marriage party. But what type of marriage party that will be? Just to remind you that in storyline it turns your mind to history. That so many thousands and thousands of years back, this happened. And it gives you a flavor of history, flavor of story. And when you are told you are meant to attain God realization and join Rama, your mind gets another distraction. When will Rama incarnate again? And that brings a bigger stretch of time. You don't realize that even if I'm just accepting that possibility that will live at a time when Rama is there, the Rama can be next door neighbor. It doesn't mean that you are going to become enlightened. Another surprising news. The Rama is always there with you. You don't have to go anywhere and look for history. So, in your daily life, how can you bring a taste, a flavor of enjoying Rama's presence in your heart? That's the big secret behind the spiritual movement. Because the world overpowers you with all negative, sorrowful news. Even good news doesn't really give you inner peace. Keeping that in view, you are being invited to Rama's party. प्रथम बारात लगन ते आई, ताते पुर प्रमोद अधिकाई. The Barat party, the whole marriage party, came a few days earlier than the time that was set for actual marriage. And during that time, when the party has come and they have been given their residences to live in. They have been welcomed. Janakpuri, the city where King Janaka ruled, where Sita grew up, all the people in that city became exceedingly delighted. ब्रह्मानंद लोग सब लाही बढ़ाऊं दिवस निशि विधि सद काही. And all those people began to enjoy what type of happiness? Not ordinary marriage party happiness. Because with ordinary marriage party, they are all expecting a wonderful feast. They all began to enjoy the bliss of Brahman, Brahmananda. Let me give you a subtler meaning behind it. Each time there is occasion for you to become happy, develop a sensitive mind to understand that happiness proceeds from Brahman. Allow your mind to be inspired, not to go after the objects that make you happy, but go after the real source of happiness. If that type of spiritual sensitivity has developed, then you are on the path leading to liberation. And also you are securing a life of profounder joy, not the joy that comes like quick elation and depression, the joy that inspires you. And if that joy is tasted and you are inspired by it, then you become more and more drawn to follow the path known as Uttarayana, the northern path. This again is allegorical terminology, and this is expressed in the poetic language. Bhadahu divas nisi vidhisan kahi. They all pray to Brahma, increase the period of the day. Brahma can't do that. But if you are following the path of Uttarayana, you come to a stage where consciousness begins to expand more and more. It's described in the terms of northern course of the sun. Each daytime goes on increasing. Symbolically, let me give you the whole scene. First stage of Krama Mukti, progressive liberation. First stage is Agni, fire. Fire means Vairagya, dispassion. Dispassion means a healthy state of mind that knows the world is perishable. It is not anything of the world, you can't hold on to it. Therefore, what is your profounder purpose? The mind stays with the world all the time, and that's a big kid state of the mind. How to allow the mind to grow up, and while dealing with your day-to-day problems, etc., allow a room within your mind a puja room, to understand what is the goal behind it. So, if that begins to develop, that's called Agni, fire. See, darkness is there, and how do you enter the dark stage? Light. And light comes from fire. And fire implying you develop increasing dispassion. You know things of the world, they are not your goal. And then comes vivek. Viveka state, your mind begins to understand the distinction between the reality, who am I, and the illusions of the lower self. In other words, self and not self are mixed up before every individual. All the time you are talking about yourself, this is me. But you never know what really you are meaning by saying, I am. So Vivek begins to allow your mind to develop a distinction that real I am is not in any way disturbed or affected by illusory I am that is created by mental projections. All the time the I am that is source of all harassment and sorrow, that's not your reality, that's not you. To give a very crude illustration, sun god came down to on the earth, look around how things are. And he sees the reflected sun struggling. And sun god suddenly forgets about who he is. And he feels the misery in this world. You have to figure that out. It's sufficient points given. The idea is your sun god within you, the real self, is ever untouched. But ego, notion of the ego, that is based upon your conditioned mind, that's always shaken up by worldly limitations. Let me remind you of Saint Kabira's saying, पानी में मीन पियासी मुहे देखत आवे हांसी. Sit by a lake or a river and see the fishes. They are struggling to quench their thirst. But they are all, and Kabira says, when I see this, it makes me smile, laugh. The water is everywhere, but the fishes are struggling with their thirst. This is allegorical, it's not a biological study. Jal bich meen bich jala hai. Within that water of the lake, there are fishes. And fishes are in the water all the time. And yet, nishadin rahast piyasi. Day and night, no matter when you go, they are restless. They're thirsty. That's the predicament of all souls gripped by ignorance, avidya. You are always, all around you, there is nothing but Brahman. What's your body? You are not the body. You don't even know what it is. Not even a single hair you have any idea what it is. See, all this is the divine. So the divine presence permeates the entire universe. And yet, due to ignorance, soul looks for, where is God? Where can I find him? Can he fulfill my desires? And to give you a little humorous statement, that's the definition of mean-mindedness. Fishes are called mean. Sanskrit word for fishes. All is water. But the mean fish is not aware of all the water. It's struggling. Similarly, all is God, but the mind is not aware of it. That's mean-minded. Okay. So as I was explaining to you, the Uttarayana northern path, first stage you develop Vairagya. Second stage, Viveka, discriminative knowledge. The knowledge that you are a blend of eternal self and illusory self. And you have to get out of the clutches of the illusory self to realize who you are. The distinction. And then as this process grows on, you live your daily life with focus on fulfilling the purpose of life, which implies don't lose yourself completely into circumstances and situations. But this is a big challenge, but that's what you will have to learn through sadhana. Don't lose yourself. Adversity should allow you to practice more japa, meditation. Prosperity should allow you to become more humble, more charitable, more magnanimous. And they must be lived with, not with a sense of boredom, but a sense of adventure and thrill. If that type of practice, in terminology it's called aha, Agni Jyoti aha. And if you continue, next stage comes is a bright half of the month, Shukla Paksha, which is again symbolic of having joyous feeling in your heart. If you don't have gone through this, feeling is there, but it's a crabby feeling. It grabs you like a crab. Good feeling should allow you to emerge free. That requires insight into how to gain bhavana shuddhi. But that begins to occur automatically, increasing purity of feeling. Agni Jyotiha Shukla Sanamasa Uttarayanam. Now you are entering into northern process. moving away from the limited circle of your consciousness. Your consciousness begins to expand. Otherwise, all that you know about yourself is based upon what you have read in your books, what you read through your medical books, what you get the advice from doctors, physicians. Tell me, who am I? If mind is in trouble, ask a psychologist. Can you tell me about my mind? So, we are living in a world based on the data created by so many minds about the world. You don't have your own inner expansion. As you go through the spiritual movement, that inner expansion opens up. There is a different dimension where all problems begin to move away or view them with a different angle. Same clouds, the dark. Now, your feeling has advanced. It's like light has started passing through those clouds. Now the clouds have become beautiful. That stage of bhavana shuddhi is Rama and Sita's marriage. And that's what people, the statement, Bada hu divas nishi, vidhisa na kahi, they all pray that let the period of day increase. Let us enjoy this company of Rama, of the party that has come from Ayodhya. Let us enjoy this. If daytime remains the same, it goes fast. So the prayer is let the daytime increase. Figure that out. This is the same symbolism put into Uttarayana movement. Ramu siya Sita sobha avadhi sukrita avadhi dauraj jahataha purjana kahi as mili nar nari samaj. Rama and Sita, they are the climax of Shobha. Shobha is beauty. And Shobha term comes Sha, relates to Kalyan. Sha relates to all that is auspicious, divine. Therefore, we use the word Shri, comes Lakshmi, root letter of Lakshmi. And Abha, the light coming from Sha. That's Shobha. And everyone wants to be handsome or beautiful. But the highest limit is to discover you are Rama, you are Sita. That's the climax. In Janakpur, wherever people come to assemble, or they are already assembled and they are all talking about the amazing darshan of Rama and Lakshmana and the amazing matching of Rama with Sita. Janak Sukrita Murati Baidehi, Dasharatha Sukrita Rama Dhare Dehi. Sita Devi is a result of, allegorical term, King Janaka's greatest virtue. All the virtuous effort King Janaka did has resulted in having a daughter, Janaki, Sita. Sita's Viveka Buddhi. This is two-aspected movement. One is Prakriti movement. Nature in you becomes highly purified. It's allegorically described, it begins to rise like a mountain. And Rama represents avatara movement, avataran, descending. The mountain rises and the sun as if bows down and comes down on the mountain. So Sita within you is rising as nature gets purified. Your feeling becomes divine. So one is an ascending movement. And Rama's movement, descending from the transcendental level. इन सम काहुन शिव अवराधे, काहुन इन समान फल लावे. They are glorifying the two kings, King Janaka and King Dasharatha. And they are saying that no one is such great personalities, no one has done such good karmas to be possessed with. Janaka possessed with the blessing of Sita, and Dasharatha possessed with the blessing of Rama. This blessing is the highest blessing in forever. And all the effort that soul has done has come to climax in these two personalities. And that's the reality of it, is not history. All your soul and all your effort, called Purushartha, all your effort must lead you to attain that state where soul discovers its essential nature as Rama, and your understanding rises as Sita. Your soul must blend with intuitive intellect. That's Ram Sita's marriage. And whoever is ready to experience that matching of soul matching with soul, joining with intuitive intellect. Again, you must realize this is not ultimate goal. This is the beginning of a profound movement. Rama and Sita marry and the movement becomes profound, which means every step of Rama's movement is moving forward, not slipping backward. Otherwise, in every individual, movement is back and forth. So the greatest success in adoring Sita, rather Shiva, these two personalities, they are exemplary. Their worship of Shiva has brought about the result of Rama and Sita. Simple point, all your sadhana is worship of God. God is Shiva. And your sadhana becomes effective, real worship when that conjunction begins to take place in your personality. Your soul begins to be united with intuitive intellect. It is, in saying, it is so simple, but its ramifications are immense. To give a simple illustration, tell a person, wake up, you are sleeping. Sun has risen. Sun has risen. But wake up, open your window, you are seeing the whole forest or whatever type of vegetations you have, they are all shining with light. इन सम पौ न भयउ जग माही, है नहीं कतहु होने उनाही. In this world, no one has been like King Janaka and King Dasharatha. And no one is going to be like King Dasharatha or King Janaka. You shut the door to all possibilities. But subtle meaning behind it. That the spiritual movement transcends the world. Whoever attains enlightenment, the whole process doesn't belong to the world. So anyone who has attained enlightenment will be described. Nobody will be like him, nobody was ever like him, nobody will be ever like him. Because your interpretation is in the terms of time. Was, is, will be. One who has attained enlightenment doesn't belong to this. So whoever attains enlightenment comes in that category. So when you describe Rama, you describe that way. No one past, present or future. Describe Krishna the same way. Describe Buddha the same way. But if you don't have a deeper understanding, you go two ways. One, you get confused. The scriptures are not. Another, you get narrow-minded. My Krishna is the only one. Don't go after Rama. Look at what Gita says. जिन जानकी राम छवि देखी, को सुकृति हम सरिस विषेखी. these citizens of Janakpur, they are expressing their feeling, having seen Rama, and they have always been with Janaki, Sita. Now Sita is marrying Rama, and this predicament, this happening, has brought tremendous inspiration in their heart. And they say to each other, how fortunate are we? How wonderful karmas have we done? No one in the world has done as much good karmas as we have done. And it's not exaggeration. The ability to develop that state of mind that comes to realize that the world is expression of God. The entire world is nothing but the divine self. And that type of feeling that allows you to realize all is Brahman, or that type of intellect that allows you to realize all this is Brahman, that type of intellect and feeling and a matching of the two is the climax of spiritual movement. Punide khab raghubir vivahu, leb bhali vidilochan lahu. Soon we will witness the marriage ceremony. They are all waiting for Rama and Sita to be married. And soon you will see, not only that, they propose that let all brothers stay and get married in this royal family. And they do. Le bhali bitilochan lahu. And by beholding the marriage of Rama and his brothers with Sita and her friends, Lochan lahu. Lochan refers to eyes. When you see something most inspiring, you say, thank God you gave me the eyes. The Lochan lahu. The love, the joy that you are able to experience because of your eyes. But what lies behind your eyes, that's what I'm afraid of. Eyes are symbolic of your vision. Eyes are only one aspect. Your vision of who am I, your experience of higher form of feeling, your experience of higher form of understanding, that awareness is your real eye. And your seeing is experiencing. And Sanskrit word for that, darshan. If you want deeper meaning, I will. Ashan. Asan refers to eating. The whole world is a big party, see. And every soul is involved in eating, assimilating. And what you have to assimilate? Da. Da is Upanishadic mantra. It refers to three things. Dhamma, controlling the mind and senses. Three aspects are there in your personality. One is called divine aspect. You allow the divine to rise by discovering that you can control your mind and senses and not be a slave to them. The more you come to that level, the more divine you begin. You discover you are divine. So you are assimilating the 1/3 of the. Next, human aspect. Human aspect that must blossom and grow. And it grows by charity. Without having charitable heart, a human being is not real human being. Human being without humanity. So charity, dan, the second da. Two das. And then there is a third da. The demoniac aspect exists in every individual. That aspect is short-circuited energy. Short-circuited energy should be handled. And the mantra behind it, compassion. If your short-circuited energy allows you to become too angry and become hurtful to others, your short circuit will not be corrected. You will yourself become shortened by the short circuit. So, develop compassion. When you assimilate these three, when you have eaten food, you came to a good shop to eat food. Once you have eaten and satisfied, you look at all that, it's a joyous way. Darshan. What a darshan. If darshan doesn't have given you any fulfillment, that's not darshan. It was divine darshan, therefore, is not an ordinary experience. Sometimes people have in dream, suddenly they see some gone to a temple or a deity. I'm not underestimating, everything has its own importance. And different people have different levels. Some people may have very advanced level and meet their deity in dream. But I'm talking about the majority of people who suddenly get something in their dream. And someone comes in their dream and says, I'm Lord Shiva. He gets up and says, I had darshan of Shiva in my dream. That's not darshan. If you have darshan, you will not be the same person. He will assimilate the dot mantra, and you don't even have to shout about it, have darshan. Your whole personality will speak out of your inner enrichment. To figure that out, that type of darshan. Not a historical, not a physical experience that I went somewhere and I touched the stone that was once touched by Rama. How do you know it? It was a fingerprint. So what do you end up with? A kind of information, a data, that on certain date, at a certain time, you touched. That's not darshan. If that touch has changed your life, that's a different matter. But if it didn't change your life, it doesn't make you proud that you had touched such something so great, then it just it's an illusion. And if this Da movement is assimilated with you without any special vision, etc., you are having darshan unawares. So figure that out and develop mature understanding of what we mean by God's darshan. And that's Lochan Lahu, that faculty that allows you to have darshan. That's your real inner eye. And it attains perfection when you have that stage of three-aspected Da assimilated in your personality. As a result, the whole world is viewed by you in the light of different, transcendental vision. All this world is nothing but Brahman. All illuminations are nothing but the sun. All cinema show is nothing but the screen. That type of end result comes in by darshan. I am that eternal self. That becomes your root of your existence. All this is being said quickly, but that's what your goal is. कहीं परस पर कोकिल कोकिल बयनी यही व्याह बड़ लाभ सुय सुनयनी. And all these women so happy that their speech comes out like cuckoos. Cuckoos in the spring. Kokil. They have said to each other, this is the greatest gain in our life, to behold the marriage of Rama and Sita. Such a great fortune that Vidhata, the Creator, has given us this great privilege. These two brothers, having married in this family, they will be coming to Janakpur as guests, as adorable personalities again and again. बारही बार स्नेह बस जनक बोला उब सीय लेन आए हैं बंधु दौ कोटि काम कमनीय. King Janaka is bound to bring Sita again and again to Janakpur, and Rama and Lakshmana will come again and again to take Sita back with them. The the idea behind it. When you have a profounder vision, then there comes a subtle urge within your heart. May I have it again and again and again. And it is positive movement. It builds up momentum. विविध भांति हो ये पहुनाई प्रिय न काही अस सासुर माई. They tell to each other, oh friends, they will be welcomed again and again in variety of ways. And we citizens, we will tab tab Rama lakhanahi nihari, hoyi hai sab pur log sukhari. We will again and again witness, behold, have darshan of Rama and Lakshmana. Again and again we are going to be thrilled. Subtle messages. If a day has been joyous by your sadhana, be more happy. You will have that experience day by day. King Janaka and Dasharatha have made a link, a connection. So your joyous time will go on increasing with bigger and greater dimension until you reach the absolute. That's the idea. A successful life is not a life that looks for a boarding future or a boarding future.